Welcome to the Brady Bunch of Autism, your source for family, parenting, and all things autism and special needs. Created by our family for your family. Live from the Ed Asner Family Center. And now your hosts, Navah and Matt Asner. Welcome to the Brady Bunch of Autism.
Welcome to the Brady Bunch of Autism. I'm Matt Asner.
And I'm Navah Asner.
And this is a crazy episode. We saved this. We haven't been around for a while, and so I got to say we were saving it up. So
we weren't just sitting home eating bonbons.
No, we weren't.
Were we?
No, we weren't. We had a lot to do. We had the poker tournament. We had all sorts of wonderful things to bring to the public, and also the beginning of Camp Ed.
Yes, it's been a whirlwind camp prep. I was just thinking the other day, talking to my camp directors, that this is our 9th year doing Camp Ed, and next year we have to do something big. We have to go. Yeah. We have to go big for our 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, paper, right?
Oh, that's
10 year.
Is it?
I think so.
We just had our 10-year anniversary.
It was paper. We did. Okay, so we have a great show. Today. We're joined by the incredible Lise Smith, who is Connor Tomlinson's mom, and you all know Connor and Lise from the Love on the Spectrum, and Connor is an incredible young man, and his mother is incredible too. Well, so we're going to be joined by her.
We had the pleasure of meeting.
We did.
Connor and his mom and his beautiful, typical siblings. Just recently, they came into the center. It was so exciting. Our Max was quite titillated by Connor's, I don't know if it's his younger sister or his older sister, but he just was love at first sight, I think, for Max.
Yes.
Anna, beautiful Anna.
Yeah.
And I really resonated with, especially with this season, seeing the dynamic between Lise and her son, because it's so, to me, everything was so familiar. And I mean, obviously, for us, Eddie's a little too young to be in that romantic stage, right. But with the other guys, for sure, we've been through that. But I loved the dynamic between his sister and her, and how they were so excited. It was just wonderful. And
it's actually a lot like our family.
Well, we said that. Yeah. We said that to each other, that we have so many similarities. Yeah. We both come from blended families, and
so we're gonna compare notes.
Yes, let's
compare notes. And then we can talk a bit about what's going on in the world,
and what's going on in the center,
What is going on in the center?
Well, as I said, we just finished camp prep. We're getting ready for our 9th year at Camp Ed. Camp Ed, which was named after little Eddie, not Big Eddie.
Not Big Eddie.
Based on a mom's, I saw the value of having an expressive arts special needs camp, and what, school was offering for Eddie, just to me was just so subpar. But we're getting ready for that. We're also just wrapped up our first semester of this year with our incredible adult day program, the Academy.
Yes. And
the Academy has been one of the most successful and rewarding programs I've personally have ever created. I was helped to create this based on the need of one of our board members, Jill Creeder-Hart, whose daughter had fallen over the lip, so to speak.
But I should say that, yes, it was her need, but it's really everyone's need. I mean, that's the thing.
I agree with
you. Glaring omission from the services that are out there pretty much everywhere in the country.
I agree with you, but I think that the beauty of our personal programs there's always a passionate parent, passionate parent, Peter Piper, who has this drive. And there's so many things that we can improve in the community. There's so many programs that are missing, and there's such a need. But unless you really have somebody who's willing to take the lead and drive that home, because Jill had been telling us, you and I, for years, you need an adult day program. You need an adult day. And until I was able to give the reins of Camp Ed to Aviva and Miss Judy, I didn't really have the bandwidth to do that. And it was the greatest thing. And I'm so glad I listened to you, Jill.
Yes. So, and what are the plans? So the academy starts.
We restart. We're having our break for summer camp. And then we restart in August. And we are doing tours for our academy fall session. We have a wait list. I'm proud to say that we have probably the only day program that is equal parts girls and boys, which is probably unknown in the day program world. We might even actually have more girls this semester than boys.
Really?
Yes.
That's actually
unprecedented, right?
It's unprecedented.
I know. I'm so proud.
That's incredible.
I'm so proud. And we have the wonderful Aviva, who is our program director. She brings a light and just a joy to the program. She's like a Disney princess who has a firm hand, but with a Disney spin.
Okay.
Right?
I think so. So we're going to bring Lise Smith in a little bit. Not yet, but in a little bit. And first thing we're going to do is before we get to Lise, we're going to talk a little bit about the poker tournament.
Yes.
We had a poker tournament on June 14th. And if you were there, then you were lucky. It was a lot of fun. Navah, were you there?
I was there, sweating bullets.
Warm, but nice.
But you did promise me next year we're going to be indoors.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it was great. We had an incredible cast of characters there. Probably 50 celebrities. If you sit at a poker tournament you sit next to a celebrity. It's pretty exciting.
It was the most populated poker tournament we ever had.
We had an incredible,
we're busting at the seams.
Incredible array of food by Ma's Italian Kitchen, and we also honored Michel Lechasse. Did I say that right? I don't think I said it right.
All of our French speakers are wincing.
Forgive me, Michelle.
I'm not going to try to butcher that.
Michel Lechasse.
Okay,
is that good?
Close enough.
That's good. Anyway, we honored Michel for his community work and everything he's done with Ma's Italian Kitchen.
If you're in Burbank area, go check it out. It's incredible food, incredible atmosphere. It's very romantic. Not that you and I ever go out on dates, but if we did go out on a date,
but when we go there, it's romantic. It becomes romantic when we walk in the restaurant. It's a great romantic
date spot. So check it out, Ma's Italian Kitchen in Burbank.
And then I'm going to take a little sip of my Diet Coke. Hold on.
His pancreas is eroding as we speak.
I like Diet Coke. I only have one a day.
That's a lie.
Oh, no, it's true. I only have one a day.
A lie. He's fooling himself.
So, who won the tournament? Vito won the tournament.
Yeah. But number two was
Dave Foley.
Should have won.
Dave Foley came in number two.
And I was so proud of the women who literally are good friends. I didn't know that Carmelita Hughes was such a poker player, and Erin Murphy, another one of my dear friends.
Is a shark. Tabitha.
Really?
Yeah, she's a shark.
Gorgeous and
she's a bit of a shark.
Sharp and a wonderful autism mommy.
Yeah.
Incredible lady. But Carmelita blew me away. I mean, she came in fourth.
What was incredible is you watch the last two tables and you see this kind of the chips kind of go in a sea of back and forth, you know. They have a lot of chips, then they have a lot of chips, and it's pretty incredible. And when I looked at Carmelita and Erin's chips at the last two tables, I thought, okay, they're going to make the final table. They'll probably win, but they didn't.
Next year, girls.
Next year.
We did have a woman win 1 year, I remember. I can't remember what year that was, but
we did quite a while ago. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Carmelita, next year is yours.
All right, so we're gonna bring in our guest.
Let's do it.
And we're gonna see how this is the first time we've actually done this. Use the software.
Yes.
So we're gonna bring in Lise, and Lise is gonna be live right now. Hi, Lise.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going great. How are you guys today?
Good. I'm gonna turn you down in my headphones a little bit because it's a little in there.
So
I'm so loud.
No, it's great. Let's see. There we go.
I have no volume control, Matt, so it's me.
Is that true? Is that metaphoric or?
No, that's true in life. Like my husband's like, do you know how loud you are right now whenever we're talking?
I get that all the time. That's
it's like people can hear you.
Another thing we have in common. But I really want to send my aloha to Connor because I have heat-induced migraines.
Oh.
And I can totally understand, especially I think humidity kind of ramps it up a little bit even more.
And he has suffered since he was 5 years old. He was actually like in a migraine clinic when he was like doing not studies or anything, but just having to report because he was so young. And so he has been a migraine sufferer since he was very young. I mean, and when he was younger, he would vomit from them.
Yeah.
As now he's older and he knows, he's like, Mom, it's in, but he has to retreat to a cold, dark room. Usually I found these headache sleeves. They're like cold compression sleeves.
I literally was going to tell you, you have to get the ice.
Oh, he loves those. Yeah.
The headache helmet.
And especially for all you pregnant moms out there. I remember when I was, in the first trimester, you always get migraines and you don't want to take medication. It's the ice helmet. That's the ticket, right? Did he try the thing that where it's like a mask and it heats up and then it like massages?
What is that
it
called?
Plays ambient music.
What is that?
No. What is that thing called?
I'm going to send you the link because that
amazing.
Is incredible. I prefer the ice, but if it's next level, I'll go to, I'll go a combination of the two. So I'm going to send you the link.
So for those of you who kind of don't know what we're talking about.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. We were going to have Lise and Connor on, but Connor unfortunately is suffering from a migraine, which is something that's unfortunately common.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna have a Connor in at a later date, but we have the incredible Lise Smith here.
You get the runner-up, the booby prize today.
Not at all.
A mother can say that. A mother can say that because there's no ego in motherhood, is there?
No, I mean, he's a star. I mean, I wish he was here. And again, it's like he gets them at least once or twice a month. We have prescription for it. I mean, I don't want to get crazy with, I don't know what the next step would be for relief, but he's in the category missing a couple days a week of work a month over them. So it's kind of a bummer, but he's a champ.
And he's a world traveler. We've been following you guys and your escapades, and I loved meeting his siblings because it was like, seeing their pride, seeing how tight you guys are. It was so familiar to us. I mean, Matt and I have 6 kids, and it's like, you guys are a blended family. We're a blended family. So yeah. I really enjoyed meeting them. And I was making a joke that Maxie fell in love with Anna. It's Anna.
Anna, yes. She is. I mean, I don't know, bias here. I think she's absolutely stunning. So yes, I don't blame him.
No, she is so sweet and so down to earth. But Connor, I loved Connor. He was absolutely my favorite. I mean, by far, Matt and I are good friends with Stan. We're good friends with all the people in this group. But there was something so authentic about Connor's portrayal and his innocence, his brilliance. I mean, when you meet him, you realize how friggin' smart he is.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's like he's basically saying what we're all thinking.
Yeah.
And
that's the truth. Yeah.
Saying it. And it's a joy to watch. Mm-hmm. No, but you're talking to Lisa, about this. You're a mom. So, mm-hmm. I mean,
no, I think that those parts of season 3 were so real. They were so authentic. The interaction between you and Anna, and how excited you were for him. Finally found this connection, and how he's like, he's only into brunettes. I love that.
I think he has good taste.
But it makes sense. I mean, it's in our family too. It's like our sons, they're used to Aviva and me, and they're more. There's no like Otopex Rex or whatever,
Oedipus.
Oh yes, Oedipal complex, whatever it's called. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It was just so authentic and beautiful. How excited you guys were when you first met her, and when she walks out of the room, and you're all, oh, I love that. I just absolutely love that.
And I got to say, I mean, the one thing that resonated for me in the show, well, I mean, your relationship, together with Connor is just amazing. And like I said in the intro of this show, very much like our family, very, very fun and it was wonderful.
And a big family,
wonderful to watch, big family interacting with each other. But
thank you.
But Connor, for me, Connor's discovery of love is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
The discovery, when he's with Georgie and he, realizes that, he's going to kiss her. And, and the discovery of how he feels about that and
his expression.
Everyone should feel that.
Yeah.
Everyone in the world should be able to feel that feeling. And
you see it in his expression. I mean, he kind of like his eyes open, he kind of gasps, like,
right. It's
he
like,
can't believe it.
How's this happening to me?
Yeah.
And Lisa, I really want to ask you, watching that scene in particular, but you can talk about any scene really, watching that scene in particular, how did that feel as a mother to watch this kind of transformation of your son into this world of love? I mean, that must have been incredible.
I mean, and exactly, Matt. And honestly, the transformation for me, that was the sort of the zenith point, the pinnacle of what, if you've watched, from season 2, first of all, we got into this whole project and because he expressed a loneliness to us, and show or no show, I was trying to figure out how to help, scaffold and bridge that gap for him in a safe way. And that, no one took advantage of him and so forth. But the fact that from season 2, just episode where he had the speed dating and the panic attack, that Connor to the Connor at the finale of season 3, the evolution, that is what blows me away. It's not so much that he got his first kiss, and that really was his first kiss ever in his life. And I think it shocked the heck out of him. And to be honest, he really had to come in and sit down and have a glass of water. He couldn't feel his legs. It was really funny. Bless him. But it was more just like, oh my gosh, not only, was he just so open to it? I don't know that I could have let someone in and all that with the cameras. And he was just, and I love that he was so open and willing, and he knows no other way but to be himself, which is beautiful. So that, and I think that's why people are attracted to Connor's storyline in particular, is because it was such a massive evolution, gain, and growth from season 2, episode 1 to season 3, episode 7. It was just, and I think he took us all on his journey. And I mean, as his mom, obviously I'm so impacted because I've been there from minute 1.
Yeah.
But it was really cool that the world loved sharing, or the viewers, I don't want to be that arrogant, the viewers really appreciated his growth.
Well,
and I remember Lise had said that when you're in the trenches of the filming, you miss so much. And I remember you had said that you don't really know until you see. I'm sure they showed it to you before all of us, but
they didn't. I watch it when you watch it. It's petrifying.
Oh my gosh, because
petrifying.
That's incredible.
It's scary.
There's something very brave about it. I remember you and I did that documentary, and they insisted on showing up literally at 6 a.m. So I'm getting the kids ready, and my hair, as I turned to the side, my hair was like I mean, you could tell that
there were some very real moments.
Yeah, very
real
real moments. But you don't really realize, and you're always like, oh my God, what it's going to look like. But you guys looked great. You sounded great. That your house is gorgeous. I think it was so beautiful. And I'm just really, really excited we're excited to see where it goes. We're all excited.
Yeah. And something you said, leads me to another question. You mentioned Connor's growth between the two seasons.
Mm-hmm.
He did. He's been everywhere. I mean, I follow you guys on social media. He's been all over the place.
I know, it's wild.
And a lot of people want to know him, and which is interesting and great, but it's also kind of worrisome.
Yep.
I would. How have you all dealt with this kind of sudden thrust into the spotlight, and how are you dealing with it?
I think overall as a family, we're really tight and really protective and pretty feisty, outspoken people. So, I think, as much as that probably cuts both ways, it serves us in some ways. And I think in some ways it hurts us because I think, we're not everybody's flavor, which I get and I'm becoming okay with. But as a family, it is a shock. It is strange to get off a plane in a strange new city and people are calling our name in a terminal. That's weird. I mean, we're like, wait, and then, there's times where my daughter and I are having an argument in front of a Starbucks about something silly. And then someone comes up and we're in the middle of just like being a family disagreeing or something. And someone's like, oh, we're big fans. And we're like having a domestic in front of people, just like, oh, wait, we're not strangers. We've got to be kind of tamed. But so we're learning, I guess, as we go. It's exciting. 90% of it is really nice and supportive and sweet and actually quite moving when people come up and just say how Connor has helped them or watching me with Connor. I got an amazing DM recently that said, we were a family who kind of hid our child's diagnosis. I guess their child is, low support needs.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of try to mask it to the world. And they said, watching you with Connor, we're more open about it. And it's changed our parenting. And that was huge. That was very touching to know that just watching our family's interactions inspired them to lean into it and be okay with it. Because it's okay, but back to your question, it is strange how we're dealing with it. Yes, we have moments of it is scary sometimes. There's been some weird things that have unnerved us. You're public and we are normal people in Podunk, Georgia. I don't have a gated community or a security or, we have cameras and things now, but it's not like we're, in these protected mansions or anything. So yeah, there are some things that are scary. And just that make you more aware. But overall, it's been great. And I think Connor has handled it really well. He does have moments where he hits walls. We just see it coming and we try to jump in and give him a break.
Yeah.
Well, you've been trained very well for that, I'm sure. And just knowing him from childbirth.
Yes.
So, understanding what his walls are, that's, I'm sure, very important. Did being on the show change how you see yourself or how maybe how others see you? I mean, do you think it?
Yeah.
You think
Yeah, that was interesting. You're your own worst critic. So it's so when I'm watching, I'm sort of tearing myself apart. I'm like, oh my gosh, I look like a helicopter, or geez, I'm pretty overbearing. I see the things that when I get some negative stuff, I'm like, yeah, I guess I can see that. But my story with my kids, and I know you're a blended family and you're in a, second marriage or whatever, and you're not in your original marriages and I'm not either. I had to be a really tough chick for a while. I had 4 little kids by myself, and that you either sink or swim, and I swam But with that came some brassiness and some out there-ness that isn't everybody's flavor. And I think I saw that. But I did see also, I'm not that hard on myself. I did see that we're fun. It was fun to see how much we love each other and how tight we are. And that, to see that on a screen and to know that I will have that forever and my kids will have it or my grandkids would get to see that frozen in time is so cool.
It's
Well,
definitely incredible thing.
I can really relate to that because I also was a single mom with 4 kids. I grew up with 8 brothers, no sisters. So I am the ultimate
tough chick.
tough chick. And I didn't see one personally, whoever said that, I didn't see 1 ounce of helicopter brass. I didn't see that at all.
Oh, thanks. Well, I've gotten the DMs.
But here's the thing. You can't please everyone. And if we could, would be magical human beings. I remember in our documentary, somebody was remarking on how dare they give their children chicken McNuggets.
Oh, yeah.
And they should be casein, gluten. Yeah. And it's like, I say to all my parents, because I'm also a life coach for special needs parents, I say, look, we all need to listen more and critique and criticize each other less.
Right.
Especially because I work with ASAN and actual autistics. And it's such a divided group. And I know that a lot of our friends who are in ASAN have been critical of the show. And I say to them very clearly, I can see your perspective, but I can so clearly see the perspective of people like the person who wrote to you and said, look, by watching you, you inspired us. You inspired us to be who we are and not feel like autism is something that should be hidden or not celebrated. And there are parts of autism that aren't like Love on the Spectrum. There are parts of it, profound autism is a totally different world. But I really feel so strongly that if we just listen to each other more and criticize, because nobody knows, I don't know what you deal with on a daily basis. You don't know what I deal with on a daily basis. And nobody should say what helps them get through each day. Because you and I know, as single moms with 4 kids, we have to do what we can do, sometimes hour by hour, not even day by day. So I feel very strongly that as a community, if we judged each other less, I know that our friend Christine was getting a lot of flack about some stuff with Abby. And I said to her, there's so much criticism and people really need to start to listen more and say, look, if this is what you do to get through, and nobody knows what the other person's life is on a daily basis. And I personally do not see anything like that. I didn't see the negative. And I would say to you, whoever, just let it run off your back, because the positive and overwhelming in our community, people just absolutely being drawn to you and Connor specifically as a mom and son. That's what I've been, universally in our community. It's like you inspire these families. You are admired greatly by our community, and myself. I just loved, because our youngest is just now starting to think about girls, and I know as a mom, when your kid isn't in friends groups and they're solitary, a lot of the times there's nothing that hurts the heart more than your kid, saying to you, I'm lonely, or I love to have a girlfriend. We have a student that I introduced you to at the academy, and every day, every day, he says to me, Navah, when are you going to help me find a girlfriend? And he's a handsome, remember I introduced you to him?
Yes, no, I know exactly. He's very handsome.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I just think that we, have to, as a group, really, really support each other, support moms, criticize less. And that's your stories and Kian's. I'm probably, he's always telling me I'm mispronouncing his name.
I think it's Kian. It's Kian.
Oh, you got it right.
I got it right that for the first time. I said to him, I watched the Australian show. Matt and I binged it in one weekend, and we created Love on the Spectrum years ago.
No, dating spectrum.
We created the dating spectrum. We created Love on the Spectrum.
No.
We created this relationship course based on how incredibly moved we were by the program, especially by my good friend Jennifer O'Toole, because I love the idea of having somebody who could continue support. I don't know if you talked to Jen, but I wrote the foreword in her book, Autism and Heals. And it's a beautiful book. If you guys haven't read it, it's more centric and more tailored towards autistic women and girls.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Jen was continuing with the support, because I think in employment, in relationships, we're very excited about connection, but we're not following through with the long-term support that they need.
Right.
And so I love that. And in our course, what makes our course unique is that it's entirely created and run by autistic individuals. So what I see in like certain, speed datings and things like that is you have typical people telling autistic people what it's like in a first date. And
it's not really like that.
No, it isn't. And sometimes just being in a room with fluorescent lights can be a trigger.
Yeah.
And like, Matt, what is it? Madison?
Yes, Madison. Yes.
How her guy
that
was.
First date
He was very
restaurant.
triggered. He couldn't even get to that spot because he was already being triggered by the elements around him.
Exactly.
And once
the loud restaurant. Yes. Yep.
So if you have an autistic teacher, he would say, hey, let's move to this.
That was a wonderful moment, though.
I loved it.
Because he was unapologetic about what he was doing.
Yes.
And it was just, something he needed to do. And I thought that was a very powerful moment.
Both characters, both Madison and this young man,
yeah.
You and I both, we really were affected by that because we could see both sides. I loved how patient and how sweet she was and understanding. And then she got to her cowboy prince at the end.
Yeah.
That was the step. But
Lise, what advice would you give someone who's thinking about sharing their neurodivergent journey publicly? What advice would you give them?
I mean, it's a scary decision, and I know we made it as a family. So, and again, that's just how our family rolls. Like we wanted to support Connor 100%, and we wanted to champion whatever he wanted. And it really was his decision. When it got serious that we were going to have the choice and the opportunity to share it, and it was up to us to accept, we paused as a family and we started with Connor, and we said, so again, I think if you're going to share your story, I don't know if it's going to be the neurodivergent individual. We had to have Connor's like buy-in, all in. It was him. This is you. This isn't us pushing you. And he was like, I want this. And then we said, we're going to run through walls for you. And we did talk as a family, and everybody, for season 2, you didn't see one of my sons. He was not comfortable with it, and he didn't participate. Season 2, he's like, okay, I think, I want to be seen as part of the family. So he reached outside his comfort zone. So there's that. I think, make the decision soberly, open, with eyes wide open, and as to me, as much in agreement as a family unit, because you're going to need the support of the family. You're not going to need the I told you so, or we should never have, or I think it needs to be a family decision because it impacts the family. I think that would be my very first piece of advice. And then secondly, be yourself and have fun with it. I think what really resonates is Connor knows no other way to be. Obviously, neurotypical people almost in some ways, the way they try to like fit in or try to be whatever the moment is looking for or asking for. We really just were like, if we're doing this, good, bad, ugly. And I mean, I have a YouTube channel with Connor. You could go watch. We started that channel long before Love on the Spectrum 4 years ago. It is the same Lise and Connor sitting in that car 4 years ago that you see on the Netflix screen. So we were like, we're going to be ourselves. And I think the authenticity comes through. And, there's moments where Connor gets dysregulated, and the tipping scene comes to mind. Like, he was mad. He's like, I'm only gonna, or the brunette scene. Oh my gosh. He was mad at me. And I'm not kidding. In that scene, I was sweating behind my neck. And I was literally going, oh my gosh, they're filming. This is filming. Connor's dysregulating. I need to calm him down. This is bad. I didn't see this one coming. I didn't think hair color was this big of a deal.
But imagine,
but then I sometimes Connor acts in such a way where it's easy for me to just forget that he is on the spectrum and has some things that are really kind of in his mind, and that he couldn't really work through. And he was genuinely dysregulating. He was really mad. And that's when Connor goes to like 9, I try to get down to like 2,
the fact that Kian was so that he saw that and he kept it. I'm so glad, because I think that showed all of us that, it's because it was almost, if anything, you guys were so perfect that
we stayed neutral, that we've all learned to just be neutral.
We needed that and say, look, Lise deals with the same, the ramp up that we all deal with. And I thought that part was what was made your segment so authentic. The fact that we did see him dysregulate. We did see the realness of that interaction between you, because that happens every day. How many times does that happen with Eddie? That we say one thing and I applaud Kian for leaving it, because it was important. I just wanted to make a little plug for your podcast, because a lot of the moms have been listening to it. So tell all of our listeners again.
Oh, thank you.
Because as moms, we really appreciate that aspect. And Tanner's mom, I know you had a lot of the other moms we've known. David has been in the Miracle Project. I was on the board of the Miracle Project. So I've known David for a long time, and his mom was on the podcast the other day.
Yes.
Tell us where we can listen to that podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. Anywhere you get your podcast. It's called Talk to Me, Sis. It's Nikki and myself, and Nikki is Tanner's mom from Love on the Spectrum. We have found a sisterhood in each other that was so unexpected from the show. And it was just this chemistry, and Connor and Tanner present very differently. And Tanner has truly become such a friend to Connor, and it was something Connor genuinely didn't have in his life. So not only is the show gifted Connor a girlfriend and his demigoddess, but he got a true friend. I mean, they text when we travel together, they sit together, they have their conversations, and it's just such a beautiful thing. But you can see, back to the podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, Talk to Me, Sis. And we started off talking about our journeys, and we were really honest, and we shared feelings that probably weren't really popular to say out loud, but I felt like I wanted to touch the moms that might be thinking and feeling the same thing and feeling bad, and just going like, no, I felt this way. I was mad. I was disappointed, and I was, and I've gotten, comments about that, but it was real. We've obviously got to sit and feel it and work through it. We then had the Love on the Spectrum's moms. And to your point, you're right. There is a group, and, autism being a spectrum, where there are more complex needs. And we are starting a series this week where we are specifically, the next few weeks, only focusing on moms and families who deal with individuals on the spectrum with more complex needs, non-speaking. And we want to hear everybody's stories. We want to understand. We understand what you see. I used to work with autistic individuals at the New England Center for Children in in Massachusetts when I was just out of college. I worked in the early intervention room with the non-speaking children, newly diagnosed parents and kids. The parents were dealing with this new diagnosis. I've seen it all too, and I was working in it. And so we are under no illusion that, this is, you're right. It would be, I think, difficult for me to see some of these storylines and just go, yeah, right. And so we are wanting to share everybody's stories and have understanding. And we have Betsy Hicks Russ coming on, or Russ Hicks, sorry, Betsy on the Go. She is coming on this Thursday, and she said something that I want to say because I want other people to hear it. When all this strife in our autism community is heartbreaking right now, because we are all dealing with stuff with our loved ones who are on the spectrum, and this division that is trying to come into our community, it's how they weaken us, and we need to stop and just say, I want to understand where you are. I want to understand what your day to day looks like. And I love you and I want to support you. And back and forth. The division has to stop. And why can't we just love and support each other and just try to find out where we all are?
Right. Everyone has a righteous
Here.
story.
Yeah.
Everyone is coming from their own place.
Absolutely.
But let's meet each other with kindness and love and understanding instead of whoever's trying this division in all of it is just, it's frustrating. Mm-hmm. And Nikki said it well, to Betsy, just like people with the more complex needs may be frustrated with people that they see on Love on the Spectrum. Some people like us who our kids are at this level, or they're doing whatever they're doing. They're working, some are driving, whatever. But, our school years were IEPs and a lot of support and therapies and all that. Well, then maybe we're struggling with some of the people who are saying, well, I just diagnosed myself last week on Google, and they're in their 30s and they're married, still, everybody should have a place. It's not, the division is what needs to stop. Stop.
I agree 100%. And
we're in your corner.
And
yes,
please.
And I'm in yours.
Listen to the podcast. You will enjoy it, whether you're a mom or not, or just a fan of Love on the Spectrum. You will love this podcast.
What's something you both have taught each other that school couldn't have taught? What's something that you can think of
that Connor's taught me?
Yeah.
Connor, I say all the time, and everybody has their own faiths and beliefs and whatever. And I, Christian and believe in God. And I say, God knew that I needed Connor to walk this life with me. Connor has just taught me about, oh my gosh, so many things, just being authentic and yourself. And Connor has brought a lens to my world that I realized that was so narrow, and I was looking at things through such a narrow scope. And when Connor looks at the same thing I'm looking at and he says what he sees, and I'll give a small example, and it was when he was very young. And that's when he wasn't diagnosed yet, but it stopped me. I was like, this child thinks differently. I was pregnant with my twins, and I was getting into his little twin bed to read him a good night story, and he was under his covers. And I was trying to get my big twin pregnant body into this little twin bed with this toddler to read him a story. And I said, can you just make some space for me? And he looked at me with his cute little brown eyes, and he goes, only if you make earth for me.
Aww.
And I didn't, it sounds weird. It doesn't even really make sense. But in that moment, I thought, oh my gosh, his brain is so cool. Yeah. And that was a silly example. And I can't think of a specific one, but Connor's lens, he has made me see things and people in ways that I don't think I would have had the vision to without him. And he's taught me to just love authenticity and just being he is unapologetically Connor. Mm-hmm. And I can't say that I have that much confidence as him. And I love what I think I do now, but he's taught me that over these years, and I love it.
Matt, tell the story of what he said to you when you were showing him.
Oh God, that was so great. Oh my God. Connor was really fascinated that my dad was not just Carl Friedrichsen, but he was also Santa Claus and Elf.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like an overwhelming thing for him. And he goes, he's looking at the case and he's like, oh, he goes, Well, he was also Santa Claus and Elf. That makes his passing even that much more tragic.
Oh my, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh.
No,
That was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Oh my God.
And my dad would have loved that.
Yes.
He would have loved that. He lived for that kind of stuff. And I loved that. And it just was so wonderful.
He loved your center. He came home. He's like, I cannot believe I met the Ed Asner's son. Unfortunately, you lost your name, Matt. You were the Ed Asner's son. You know, I don't have a name. I'm Connor's mom, so we're in the same bucket. But obviously, your dad's much more legendary. But he was just fascinated with your case. They have this beautiful case, everybody, in their center with memorabilia. Just, I mean, we could have stared in that case for hours, actually.
It's pretty much all his whole life.
Is that Fidel Castro?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now there's a picture of my dad and Muhammad Ali and Fidel Castro. And his one of his Emmys is in there, and some models from the Up, so it was but it was great. I always love watching people look in that case, because they all find a part of themselves in that case, and that's a beautiful thing.
I was most impressed by how patient and sweet and down to earth he was with our students.
Oh yeah,
a lot of them were kind of like starstruck, and he was so sweet and so patient. And I mean, your children, all your children were that way, but Connor was really impressed me. He really impressed me.
And I'll tell you something. You mentioned that, and that's a wonderful thing about Love on the Spectrum, I think, and identifying with people who are on that show, is that other neurodivergent individuals can look at that show and they can see themselves in these characters, these real people, and realize that they can do it. They can do it.
Yeah.
They can do it themselves.
Yeah.
They can find love. They can do anything.
And I would genuinely just point people back to, if they, just go Connor season 2, episode 1, I think, where he just has his panic attack and he is just so, freaking out about this whole new world he's found himself in and all these new feelings, to just, and this is what I will say. And I do think this is important to say. There's a lot of new parenting styles as I'm in my early 50s and my kids are in their 20s. And, again, single mom right now, just single mom thing. And I kind of had to be mom and dad for a few years. And so I see a lot of things where there's a lot of child-led this and that. I'm also a firm believer that children get parents for a reason. We are teachers. We are guides. We are teaching them the world and also what's acceptable. Kids don't have those tools in their toolbox. We need to put them in there. You have to teach that. Kids don't come knowing this stuff. So a lot of this child-led stuff is interesting to me from the way I raised my kids. I'll just phrase it that way. Me gently pushing, and people thought it could be perceived sometimes we pushed him too hard. Mm-hmm. Connor thanks me on a regular basis for making him keep pedaling his bike and getting out of his comfort zone, because then that is the place you will only truly grow. And it's the optimal anxiety. He's got to be a little uncomfortable. All our kids got to get a little uncomfortable, guys, to grow. And we're there to support them. We don't want them so uncomfortable they're dysregulating. Like, please hear that. I'm not saying send people into tizzies and tantrums in a place where the anxiety is so high, no growth is happening. But there is an optimal anxiety zone. It is our job as parents to push them to.
Yes.
And hold our hands on their back there and go, you got to feel it. And I promise me we're going to get through this. And when they do on the other side, holy cow, the confidence, the growth. And that is what you're seeing with my son. And that is my advice as a parent. Don't be afraid to push them there.
You can't always live in your comfort zone.
No, we're not going to grow. And also, I'm not a fan of throwing them into the deep end of the pool and going, bye, swim. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to watch you drown. I am going to scare you a little bit. You're going out, you're going to not be able to touch, and you're going to go under, and we're going to get you up, and you're going to go. But that zone is where growth happens. And I promise you, Connor, you saw the pain, you saw the growth, you saw the panics, you saw him call me, we talked, he went back in. You saw him fight through it. And that's been our mantra. And people are like, how did you do the single mom thing? And I'm like, I didn't stop pedaling the bike because the bike would have tipped over. I just kept riding,
That's great advice. Great advice.
We have to figure out to follow Lee's advice with dates. We were always making jokes because Matt and I never go on dates.
Oh, yeah.
You have to.
We do.
You know what I mean? And we've all been divorced. So, right, the best gift you can give your kids is a healthy marriage, right?
I agree. I will. I'm on the show right now. I promise you we'll have more dates.
Yeah.
At least one a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to share one thing before we go. Our son, Will, said something to me once. He said, I asked him once what autism was like. What do you think autism? Can you describe autism to me? And he said to me, Dad, it's like all the apps are running at once.
Wow.
All the apps are running at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so, you talk about how, Connor sometimes tells you things that are just really mind blowing and eye opening. And that was a moment for me where I was like, oh, wow, that explains
profound.
It to me. It's
Yeah.
profound. And it just amazed me. Well, Lise, I want to thank you for joining us. This has been revelatory. It's been amazing. And it's been damn fun.
Oh, thank you for having me. You guys are amazing. It was fun to see you. And this is not the end of us here. We're going to come back and visit the center.
Absolutely.
We want to help with whatever you guys, you got going and however we can support. And I know the poker didn't line up this year, but we better be on the guest list for next year.
You
Better
guys
believe
are
it.
going to be guests of honor next year.
We actually have a couple of celebrity events coming up, a big one in December. So we're going to send you guys invites to that. But I just want to send all of our love to Connor. Feel better, get that ice helmet going. I'm going to send you the link to the mask, the brain mask, I think it's called. But I so hope to be able to hang with you and have a cocktail and just talk.
Absolutely.
And you are welcome anytime at the center, all of you. And thank you so much, Lise. And don't forget to listen. Remind us again the name of the podcast.
Yes, it's Talk to Me, Sis. It comes out every Thursday. It would be noon Pacific time that the episodes drop. A new episode every Thursday, Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. Anywhere you get your podcasts. And if you want to watch us, you can watch us on YouTube. There's a Talk to Me, Sis channel. And, also if you want to watch me and Connor, we have car rides with Connor. You get to sit in the car with us every day for about 12 minutes. It's kind of fun.
I'm going to watch that right now.
Thank you so much, Lise.
And we'll have Connor on at a different day.
Yep.
Absolutely. We'll make sure we make that happen. And can't wait to see you guys again. And thanks for inviting me on your pod.
Thank you, Lise.
So
appreciate it very much. Lise Smith, everyone.
Thanks. Bye, y'all. Bye.
If today's episode moved you and made you laugh, share it, leave a review, and make sure to subscribe. Push the button, subscribe. It helps more families like ours feel seen and heard. Until next time, this is Matt Asner
and Navah Asner. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time. Shalom aloha, everyone.